There you go. Welcome to Monks, Berserkers, and Assassins. Oh my. Or how to create a character. A lot of people...
Hey Derrick, who are you?
Oh hey, I'm Derrick York. As I'm sure it must say, because I wrote the slide and forget these things. So, what was I saying? Right, people create characters all the time, and most of them suck. Just saying. So this is how to create a decent character. But yeah, what is a character? You know, character is a person, essentially, that doesn't exist. You know, a lot of people see a character in a gaming sense as just numbers on a paper, or, you know, oh, this is a fighter, so this character is this feat and this feat, or, you know, anything like that. But that's not really, it's not really a character, that's statistics. So I'm not going to focus on the numbers, I'm not going to focus on feats, I'm going to focus on how to actually make the fictional person. And I'm going to do that through 4 questions. Who are you? Why are you here? Where are you going? And how will you get there? Now these questions will take us from, you know, they'll cover the present with the first question, the past with the second, the future with the third, and the path to that future with the fourth. So let's take the first question. So this is a list of possible answers to that question. As you can see, there are a lot of them. There would have been more, but I ran out of space. It's a complicated question. If I were to ask you, who are you? You could list any number of things on this list. You could tell me things that I haven't even thought of here. It all depends on how you see yourself and what things you think are the most important for me to know. In the case of this, you know, conference, it's about gaming and anime, so I would lead with things that are about gaming and anime because it's something that I would think would be important to whoever I'm talking to. So you need to know as many different things about the character as possible, so that you can relay that information to other players, or the GM, or anybody who's mildly curious, and you can corner for 2 minutes. And yeah, with that list, again, it's confusing. I know, I wrote it. It confused me. And so, like I said, it's anything you use to describe yourself, anything that you might use, or that others might use to describe you. And you just keep adding stuff to the list. If you learn how to juggle, then you add juggling to the list. It's like, who are you? Oh, I'm an amateur juggler. It never ends. That's the fun of this question. So why is it important? Knowing who you are is, well, it's important. If you don't know who you are, how do you relay that to other people? For instance, the old soap opera standby. I don't know who I am. I have amnesia. Well, that's all we know about who this person is, then. They have amnesia. That's not a very interesting character for very long. And the way that you react to a situation is based on these things. If you are an engineer, then when presented with a problem, you're going to think as an engineer, and you're going to say, this is, you know, how I would go about fixing this problem. Whereas if you're an actor, you're not going to necessarily think, this is how I would solve this problem, so much as, there's a problem, I need to find someone to help fix it, because I don't know what I'm doing. As is normally the case with, you know, actors, which I am. So, that's why this question is important. This is the framework that is going to allow you to answer the other questions. What's the next question? standard answer is always, well, it started when I was 3. I don't know I've ever heard that question answered any other way. But what does this mean? Why are you here? You know? You ask most people this question, they're like, well, there's a convention going on. I'm here for the convention. While technically correct, that's not what the question's actually talking about. What this question is about is what brought your character to this place, you know, emotionally, spiritually, physically, you know, however they got to be who they are. You know, what happened in their past? Why did they decide to go with the, you know, wizard class instead of the bard class? Why did they decide to take up roller hockey? Whatever it is, you know, it's what happened to shape who they are. And this helps to, well, let's go on to the next slide. I'll get to that later. So what's the answer? Backstory. Everybody likes backstory, right? You know, you have to know a little bit about where the character came from. You know, what was their family like growing up? You know, just, did he have training? Did he just learn to juggle on his own? You know, like I said earlier, why did he choose the wizard class over the bard class? You know, these decisions, especially the life-changing decisions. You know, they decided to go to this college instead of this college. That's a big thing, and if you take a character down one path, you're going to get a vastly different character than if you went down the other one. So this kind of gives you that reasoning for why they are who they are. And as I've noted, knowing why keeps them from being a random assortment of traits. I mean, you can give a character whatever traits you want them to have, but if this character's a juggler and you don't know why, well, okay, he knows how to juggle. How did he get that skill? I don't know. Was he taught? Don't know. You know, it's not a very good, you know, way of talking about the character. You're not doing the character any justice unless you can tell us why. You know, it adds depth. It adds, you know, it adds that extra layer of texture to the character. And it also connects to the next question, which is going to be about goals. So it tells us why they have some of the goals they have. They want to be king because their father was king and his throne was stolen from him. Okay, that's, yeah. So, where are you going? I don't know. I ramble. These things happen. But yeah, what does this question mean? Well, we've got 4 different things here. We've got wants. You know, I want a hot cup of coffee. You know, short-term goals. I want to get from Lansing to Detroit. Or long-term goals, I want to become king. And then the needs, which are ever-present, you need food and shelter and clothing and all of those basic things. Some examples of the 4 levels here. You know, do you want a stiff drink, a hottie at the bar, the food you smell, some sleep? What these things all have in common is they are all immediate things that are brought on by something happening right now. You know, you smell the food, you really want that food, it smells so good. You know, you're, you know, stressed out, you really could use a stiff drink. So, anything that is created in the moment is going to fall under wants. Anything that's created in the moment and is an immediate, you know, it is immediately satisfied or not if you don't have the money to buy that stiff drink. But anything that can be taken care of immediately. Short-term goals are kind of in that same, they can be taken care of immediately, into the midterm, maybe they can be taken place in less than a day or two. But it's things that are going to require you to think ahead a little bit. You have to see it in the future. You're like, I need to get to this town. I'm headed for this town. And it's not something that just happened. You didn't get, shot in the foot. And so you think, wow, I could really get to this town right now. It's one of those things you set out to do something. Make it through a dungeon, win the joust, and find the town. The long-term goals are the ones that are going to require a little more planning and a little more, just kind of stick-to-itiveness. It's those kinds of things that really drive the character. If we talk about, Luke Skywalker for a moment. Luke Skywalker wants to become, someone like his father. He has heard stories of his father, and he wants to become like his father was. And that's a long-term goal. You don't become your father overnight. Some people try not to, but that's a whole different goal. But yeah, become the king, not going to happen overnight. You're going to have to set out to either marry a queen or, kill off all the guys in front of you in the line of succession, which is my preferred way of becoming king, but that's just me. Freeing your people from slavery. That's, again, not going to happen overnight. It's going to require planning. It's going to require allies. It's going to require resources. So that's what long-term goals are. And they really are what drives your character. And the needs, as I said before, are food, shelter, anything that you always need. They're always there. So what's the answer to the question? Where are you going? Well, you don't really need to answer for the wants because, like I said, those come up in the moment. You can't really plan those. Needs, you really need to, answer this for that because they're always there. You always need food. You always need shelter. As I note here, the degree of need will change. If you haven't eaten in 4 days, you're going to really, need some food. But the need for food is always there. Now, the long-term goals, like I said, they drive the character, so those are the ones you want to focus on first. Those are the big goals. Those are the ones that, if your character has to give up a short-term goal to achieve a long-term goal, that's what they're going to do. That's going to show you really where you're headed in the long term. Once you've got the big ones done, you move down to the short-term goals. Some of these could be steps toward the long-term goals. You want to become king. Okay, first I need to get into the line of succession. How do I do that? I marry into the line of succession. Okay, that's a short-term goal. Marry into the line of succession. And then maybe there's another short-term goal. Kill off this guy. Another short-term goal. Kill off this next guy. I have achieved my long-term goal of becoming king. So the short-term goals can be intermediate steps. They can be stepping stones to get to the long term. They can also be, other things to accomplish any sort of quest. You've got intermediate steps. Well, we have to find the wizard, or we have to find this plant. And you're going to add more and more short-term goals as you go. You know, you're going to be able to tell, okay, I'm going to need this step next. So it doesn't have to be a full list. It just has to be, you know, the major short-term goals. So why is this question important? Well, the answers to short and long-term goals act as a roadmap. You're going to be able to tell, okay, if I want to achieve this goal, I have to go in this direction with this character. You know, he has to be headed for this castle because that's where his father's murderer is. And, you know, it shows you where the character wants to be. Now, goals and needs and wants can change. If you realize the guy you've been chasing for 5 years isn't the person who killed your father, and this other guy over here was, you've got a different goal now. You don't want to kill the first guy, you want to kill the second guy. And that's going to shift your course. It's going to change how the character views the world a little bit. This guy is no longer the enemy. The second guy is the enemy. And some of these shifts can be kind of drastic. You know, you can end up going back the other way entirely. You could realize you've been running the wrong way for years. The fun thing with goals and wants and needs is that sometimes they don't agree with each other. And that creates tension within the character. You know, if I have to choose between this goal and this goal, which one do I choose? Which one is more important? I can't have both. If I kill the guy who killed my father, I can't rescue the princess. If I rescue the princess, the guy who killed my father is going to get away. You know? So, that's another way to add depth to a character. And some of that will come out through a game, through the writing, through, you know, whatever medium this character is in. And it's, you know, that pull is what creates a good story. No one wants to see a character whose line's always straight as an arrow, I'm always going towards this. They want to see that character struggle with some choices. So now the last question. How will you get there? I can never remember if it's a right or left to Albuquerque. I think it's supposed to be a left. It could be a right. I don't have Bugs Bunny here to ask. I think he's in Pismo Beach. I think he finally made it. What does this mean, again? How do you get to your goals? If your goal is to get into a castle, how are you going to get in? Are you going to swim across the moat and climb the wall? Are you going to go in through the back gate? Are you going to walk in through the front gate? Are you going to use a catapult to launch yourself over the wall and into the tower? I wouldn't recommend the last one, but it could work. I had a character ride a ballistable once. That was not the best idea.
Got you there, didn't it?
It got me into a canyon where I was plummeting to my death. So, yeah. Long story short, a wizard did it. So, how do you plan to get to it? I have this wonderfully drawn, awesome map thing. Yeah, it's a circle. The big one, that guy up there, that's you. That is where you are right now. All the little circles are your goals. Some of them are closer, some of them are further away. I imagine the one up in that far corner right there is one of the major long-term goals. So, how do you go from point A to all of these various points? Well, how about that? That line is the answer to the question. You know, well, I am going to go to this point, and then that point, and then this one, and all the way over, and then right here it goes off the bottom because the line doesn't end. Well, it does, but we'll get to that. So, you know, this is what we plan to happen. This is the path of least resistance. Now, it doesn't always end up looking like this. It could look like that. That is a little more resistant. So eventually, again, you do get to your long-term goal, but it takes longer. You know, you had to go down here first, and then you made it up to that one. So, how you get there doesn't always stay how you think it's going to. This goal is always kind of in flux, or this question is always in flux. We know how you plan to do it, but realizing that the best laid plans of mice and men often go awry is a major part of this as well. Oh, by the way, it never looks like this either. Now this is how, if you look back at the end of the game, or the end of the book, or the end of the play, anything really, anywhere that there is a character, this is how it usually ends up looking. They didn't hit all their goals, did they? Sometimes it just doesn't work out. Sometimes that goal just never gets achieved. And sometimes you choose not to achieve that goal and instead to get something else done. You see how the line stops here? I'm pretty sure this character died. So the line has stopped because the line can't keep going if the character can't keep going. But they did achieve their major goal before they died. I'm assuming of a crossbow bolt to the face. I make assumptions, I'm sorry. So why is this important? Well, does anybody want to, you know, watch a movie or read a book where the character sits around, doesn't do anything, and waits for their goals to come to them? Anybody, show of hands, anybody want to watch that? No? No? Okay. Didn't think so. So this is about action. This is, I am going to do something to get what I want. You know, I am going to go murder a king so that I can become king. I am going to go and lay siege to this castle so that I can rescue the princess. I am going to go fight a giant fire-breathing turtle so that I can save a bunch of little mushroom guys from castles that the princess isn't in. You know, it's about action. You know, you have to, with this, you are setting a course and you are going to make it happen. That is why this is on the list. It's in flux, which some people would say, well then why worry about it? You worry about it because this is what is going to make your character do something. And if the character's not doing anything, why do we care? And now for something completely different. It's not Monty Python. Does anybody not know who this is? Anybody?
If you don't, you should be shot.
I like that. Good, you're going to like this. So, tell me, who is this?
Hello, my name is Ian.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, we've got a name. What else do we know about who he is? Anybody?
His father was a swordsmith.
His father was a swordsmith. Okay, so we know a little bit about his family. What else do we know about him? His father was killed. We'll get to that in the next question. What do we know about Inigo?
He's a Spaniard.
He's a Spaniard. That is a good one. We know a nationality. That can inform some of our choices. What is his profession?
Hired swordsman.
Hired swordsman. Also, vengeance would have been acceptable. You know, he is a swordsman. He is a well-trained swordsman. He knows everything about swords you could ever want to know. He's a man of honor. We know that about him. All of these things help to show us who the character is. They're all facets of the character. And they make the character interesting, you know, and they can color the choices that the character makes. You know, he's a man of honor, so rather than just waiting for his opponent to die on the cliffs of insanity, he throws down a rope so that he can kill him honorably at the top of the cliff. So, why is he here? Let's look at him at the beginning of the movie. Why is he where he is? What is his past like? You said before, his father was killed. Okay? That's part of his past. That's an answer to this question. What else do we know? Why is he with Vizzini? Anybody know why he's with Vizzini? Eleanor, go ahead.
He's with Vizzini because he has to pay the bills.
He has to pay the bills. He has run out of money. And so he has hired himself to this strange little Sicilian man to get money. So we know one of his short-term goals now, don't we? To get money to live. So where's he going? What are his long-term goals?
Kill the man who killed his father.
Kill the man who killed his father. That is... yes, he knows a little bit about the man. But that's his driving goal, isn't it? Everything he does is to ultimately reach the point where he can kill Count Rugen. What are his short-term goals at the beginning of the movie? We just talked about this.
To get money.
Get money. You know, gotta eat, right? Gotta drink. Absolutely. That is a part of who he is. He's a drunkard. That's another part of who is he. And how does he plan to get to his long-term goals? Well, we know how he's planning to get to his short-term goal of money. He's going to hire himself out as a swordsman. How is he going to get to his long-term goal? Well,
He's even really sure.
Well, he's not really sure. He plans on just walking around until he runs into the six-fingered man. And then you're saying, "Hello, my name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die." And then killing him. It's not a very good plan. However, if you look back a little bit, you notice he took up the sword. Okay? His father was killed. He took up the sword that his father had made, and he learned to use it. That's part of how he planned to get to the goal of killing the man in black. Or not the man in black. The man in black is somebody else. Six-fingered man. So, he planned to learn to be the best swordsman he could be, and that was going to get him to the point where he could kill the six-fingered man. So, yeah, this is kind of what we're talking about here. This is how you get to a character. You know, you think, who is this character? Is he a Spaniard? Is he a giant? Is he a tiny little Sicilian man with a lisp? These are very important questions. Why is he here? Again, very important. Why is he who he is? You know, his father was killed. That's a pretty big deal. You know, and that one event shaped Inigo more than anything else. Where is he going? Again, that was dictated by his father being killed. He is going to kill that man that killed his father. How is he going to get there? A little shaky on the details. Could be better. He gets better with that later in the movie when he says, okay, we know where the six-fingered man is. That's changed things now. I know where he is, I just have to get in there and do it. And then he starts to get plans, which involves finding someone who can make plans. Some characters aren't great at this. Come on in, welcome.
Are you guys just finishing something or starting something?
Just finishing.
Okay.
So, that's basically how to create a decent character. Is it going to make a perfect character? No, absolutely not. No character is perfect. However, it's going to give you a good place to start. If you're having trouble thinking about, what is this character doing? Well, if you're looking for where is he going, look at who he is and look at how he got there. If you know those things, they can show you the path that he's on and where he's headed. So if you get stuck, if you don't know where you're going with this character, run through the questions. You never know when just asking these questions is going to rattle something loose in your brain and give you the answer you're looking for, or send you in a completely different direction. So these are tools. These are not an end-all be-all. This is how you make an awesome character. These are tools to allow you to make a character. I use these at the beginning of games that I run. I say, okay, you want to make a character. What kind of character? Who is he? Well, he's an elf wizard. Okay, we can work with that. That's a good place to start. You've got an elf wizard. The game's going to start in this town. How did he get here? Why is he here? What is he doing here? And we build from there. And by the end of it, I've got, players who, like me, hate doing this stuff. Do it. I'm notorious for not having backstory for my characters. It's part of the reason I made this list of questions is to help me do it. So, a few things before I start the question and answer session. Princess Bride, of course, is the property of 20th Century Fox, and Mandy Patinkin is, as always, awesome. Did you know he's a professional singer?
No.
I understand he's quite good.
He's been on Broadway.
He's been on Broadway. Yeah.
He's been on television.
He has been on television, but not singing yet.
No.
Sadly. Anyway, so that is my presentation, and I will now take questions if you have any. Because I know I can't be that good to not confuse someone. Anyone? What do we got?
I guess one thing that you should consider when making any character is what role does this character serve?
What role?
This is like, what role do you want the character to serve? Is
Okay.
it
That's a very good
your
question.
character, or
What role do you want this character to serve? That's a very good question. If you are in a game, then obviously you've got a party, and each character has something to bring to the table. Do you want to be a frontline fighter? Do you want to be a backline caster? Do you want to be the healer? Do you want to be the shield? All of these things are something to consider during the who are you question. Who are you? Well, I'm the shield in the party. Okay? Well, why are you the shield in the party? Well, because when I was a kid, I was the big one and I always got picked on. So when I became an adult, I wanted to keep the people who were being picked on safe. The role in the party is a very important thing. And it's also in just storytelling as well. What role does what does this character do in the story? Are they the hero? Are they the villain? Are they the comic relief? Are they just there to deliver a message and then they disappear? Not something I would suggest doing, because that character can always be a little bit more than just a messenger. Maybe they poison the king for my character who wants to be king. But that is a very important question, and I'm glad you brought that up. because that's another thing you can look for in who are you. You know, what is your role in the party is all wrapped up in that. Anybody else have questions? No? No? Do you understand a little bit better? Okay, good. I've accomplished something.
Hooray!
And yeah, if you have any other questions that you think of later, I will be walking around the convention, and I am happy to talk. So, thank you all for coming, and we got out about 20 minutes early, so you have 20 more minutes to enjoy the convention. Have fun.
Thanks.